I'm walking out of the biggest nightclub in Las Vegas with Jessica. We just met about an hour ago. The work that I put in is finally paying off. It's been about 4 weeks since I started this workshop that is teaching me how to pick up women and get them into bed quickly. I'm becoming a master at it. I'm able to calculate every interaction like it's a math equation, and I'm coming out with top marks. I go through the stages. Logistics. I make sure that prior to coming out, I've figured out the logistics of the night so that I can bring home a girl with me easily. Energy. I'm a ninja with my energy, approaching girls with intent but detached from outcome. Jessica is the 10th girl I've approached tonight, and she can feel it. I'm in abundance, and if it's not her, it can be easily someone else. Qualification. I've qualified Jessica. She's here alone with her friends and is leaving in 3 days and is only staying about 20 minutes away from the strip. She's the perfect one-night stand. As we interact, I'm congruent, I'm consistent throughout the night. What this does is it builds trust and attraction. It's like playing a video game, and each little technique that I've been learning is taking me to the next level. I'm picking up on her vibe, on her body language, on her energy, and I'm calibrating to her. She's ready. I've ticked all the boxes, and now I'm taking the lead and guiding her out of the club, back to my place. I'm achieving my desire of sleeping with multiple women. But the last 4 weeks have not been this smooth. To get to this moment, I went through rejection after rejection after rejection, failed night after night, and went home alone, deflated and exhausted. But I was fearless, and I didn't give up. And now, here she is, walking out of the club with me, a complete stranger. The strategy continues. I get her back in the cab with me. She's feeling safe. She's feeling excited by the spontaneity of the evening. Completely unaware of how carefully calculated all of this is. The truth, there's no spontaneity at all. This has been a night full of techniques and tactics that I have practiced and rehearsed night after night after night. And she's fallen for it, just like they all do. Before she knows it, she's back in my apartment, feeling safe and comfortable, and she's taking off her shirt. I did it. From the age of 6, I was raised by a single mom and had no real model of what a loving relationship was. Without a father figure in my life, I was left to navigate the world of women alone. I had this idea that all women were princesses. And so in middle school, I was the perfect nice guy. I was always a friend, but never the boyfriend. Girls would call me cute, they would call me sweet, and soon I got the nickname Little Maddie. None of them wanted to date me. They wanted to date Chad. Chad was blessed with your typical all-American athletic genetics. He was tall, he was strong, and he could throw a football a mile. Whenever Chad was around girls, he would change. He would make fun of them, he would knock things out of their hand, and he didn't seem to care about their feelings. Chad, he was a bit of a prick. And yet, all the girls fancied him. This was the beginning of a very confusing and painful journey with relating to women. I'm 16 and I'm getting off the bus from a snowboard trip. And when I see her, my first true love, Kate. She was amazing and I loved everything about her. She made me feel like no one had ever made me feel in my life before. I felt complete. I was in love for the first time, and I fell hard and I fell fast. I couldn't imagine life without her. But after 6 years of being together, we wanted different things, and in life we grew apart. When we separated, I realized that during the time I'd spent falling in love, I lost who I was. I lost my identity. I'd given all my responsibility to Kate, and she took care of me, even down to my banking. I was fully dependent on her, and I developed codependent tendencies. Who was I without Kate? The pain of that question stopped me from pursuing another relationship, and instead, I decided to pursue my desire to sleep with a lot of women. But there's one big problem. I had no idea how to talk to women, let alone attract them. I'm serving the Outback special to the third table of the night when I look to my left and I see Jessica. She's beautiful, but she'll never date me. You know why? I'm little Maddie. And when I talk to any woman, it's like my feet are cemented to the floor. My mind goes blank, and I have no idea what to say to them. Something needs to change. I begin Googling how to talk to women, and I come across this workshop that's happening in Las Vegas. Alpha Attraction Immersion. I booked the flight. 6 weeks into my training, after having sex with Jessica, it caused a tipping point. It's New Year's Las Vegas, and I'm on a 6-night hot streak, baby. I've been with one woman every single night. It's 4 a.m., and I've just finished having sex with another woman whose name I don't even know. And I'm trying to find my way out of the apartment. And I feel numb and shame. This is really confusing. I've just had sex with the most amount of women in my life, and I'm left feeling like absolute shit. Where's the exhilaration? The feeling of manliness, the epic euphoric sensations that had been promised to me through the years of programming. Why am I so numb? And then it dawned on me. I'm pursuing a dream that has been sold to me, and I'm manipulating women for my own pleasure. Our exchange is purely transactional, and I've exchanged my soul with Sin City for my own pleasure. And it feels absolutely horrible and soulless. When I showed up to Vegas, I was bright-eyed and ready to go. I'm reminded of the teachings from Sadhguru, of the negative effects of sharing your sexual energy with multiple women, and how it depletes your life force energy. He describes how you won't feel the pain of your actions until you reach your 50s. And that's when you really start to feel the weight of it on your soul. It zaps your vitality, leaving you empty and soulless. And I'm feeling this now. Eventually, he explains, because you haven't cultivated a deep relationship, you'll start to feel this as you age. It's becoming very clear that I'm creating for that for myself right now. Something needs to change. I feel fury and injustice of being sold a lie. I grab my pillow and I scream into it as if I'm dying. Over the next 48 hours, I'm in a state of confusion, anger, and absolute exhaustion. It feels like my whole world has completely imploded on itself. Everything that I believed to be true, everything that I was working towards is falling apart. The illusion I've had in my mind over a decade has been smashed in an instant. I'm completely lost and I feel dead inside. I can't speak to other guys about this, and if I try, they call me gay, or you're a pussy, or I'm told to shut up. I'm at a turning point. I can't go back to the nightclubs. I can't keep hooking up with these girls. And I can't be around these guys. I completely lose myself into a tornado of darkness. And at that moment, I got clarity. It's time to cleanse my soul. I left Vegas and flew to India. I'm sitting on a little cushion with leopard print leggings, and I'm in absolute silence. I've been here for 10 days. My body is aching, yet I can feel complete bliss. I'm sitting in an ashram, clearing myself from who I was in Vegas and finding my way back to my heart. Slide after slide would come up in my mind and images of my behavior in Vegas. And as they would come up, I would love them and let them go. This was the beginning of me clearing my karma and coming back to my heart. I'm now a week into my dieta, preparing for my ayahuasca ceremony, which is happening in 3 days. Questions start coming to me. What is a man? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a man that is in love? These questions are revealed to me during my ceremony, and I realized I needed to take an oath of celibacy in order to cleanse myself and attract the love of my life. I knew I needed to clear myself, which meant no more random hookups and no more sex with women. 1 year later, I find myself on the rooftop with Molly. My heart is pounding. I felt a lot of fear and a lot of resistance. And after meeting Molly, I decided I wanted to grow into love rather than fall. We take our relationship one day at a time. We've now been together for 3 years and we're growing into love. The challenge is that as men, we're told that sleeping with multiple women is going to fulfill us. Now, some men like me pursue this dream and get stuck in this repetitive cycle, not really knowing how to get out. Other men settle down, get a mortgage, a wife, and maybe some children, and never play this dream out, but the fantasy stays alive in their mind. Hence, the number of men who cheat, because that dream stays suppressed in their system. So often I hear women ask, why would a man who loves his wife and has been loyal to her for X amount of years and have children suddenly cheat on her? Just look at President Clinton. Why are these successful men willing to throw away their life and career for a moment of pleasure? This stems from the unawareness of the repression of sexual energy, which we need to start to become aware of. Sex is a drug men chase, and the constructs of society know this and uses it against us. We're being played and we're not free. Media acts as our puppeteers, pulling on our biological drives, manipulating our perception of what we want. They have us chasing cars, big houses, women, programming us to chase external validations to hopefully fulfill us. It's a spell that is cast over us, and we fall under this hypnotic rhythm. I know this all too well because of how I was being played and lied to. I'm in Vegas, meant to be having the time of my life, and yet I'm in utter darkness. Not too dissimilar from an African tribal man leaving his tribe to go hunt for food. And I'm on a hunt for women. Trying to see how I can get her out of the club and into bed. That's the win. I'm using her for my own sexual pleasure. I see many men never supersede this sexual drive or their sexual energy. They're usually fueled by coping mechanisms like alcohol and drugs that keep them numb, trapped in the same behavior. This allows them to constantly chase the drug of sex. Due to our deep programming and the inability to connect to their feelings, they never elevate up into their heart space. This is why you see so many creepy old dudes. They have not learned how to navigate these sensations and haven't elevated past their sexual desires. Unfortunately, they'll die this way. Reflecting on my decisions, I knew I had to change. I knew that I needed to cleanse my karma and rewrite the old programming and learn how to navigate my sexual energy. It was the second time that I chose to go celibate. I needed to really learn how to tune into myself and learn how to feel so that I could connect on a deeper level with a woman. I discovered that by allowing myself to feel, I suddenly became aware of the deep programming that I was in the hypnotic rhythm. I realized how depleting all of this was. It would never fulfill me. I would never be completely satisfied. There would always be one more. More women, more sex, more experiences to have. And it was exhausting. It would never be enough because it was a drug. There's a 2,000 person turnover rate every week in Vegas. Endless amounts of women. Imagine spending your life chasing something that you'll never fully achieve. By spending time with self, I became aware of the sexual energy that was running me and running my system. I'm starting to make conscious decisions. The amount of energy, time, and thought capital that goes into having sex is unbelievable. And I was feeling deflated, exhausted, and empty. So when I went celibate, I suddenly had all this extra energy. And I channeled it into growing myself and growing my businesses. And I could finally see and feel tangible results, which left me feeling energized and inspired. I was no longer objectifying women. I was no longer being ran by my sexual energy. Instead of interacting because I wanted sex with women, we would talk and get to know each other. And this is what celibacy taught me. To tune into myself and to finally feel. This is so important because if you don't become aware of the sexual energy that is running you, you'll never attract true love. But in order to do this, you have to make a commitment to yourself. Only open yourself up to a woman if there's a deep connection. Celibacy is a way you can come back to yourself and attract what you really want. And if that's a loving and committed relationship, then there's no techniques that you need to learn, no manipulation tactics that you need to know. If you want to learn how to sleep with a lot of women, Vegas is a great place for that. And an aspect of yourself will be fulfilled. But if you want to open your heart, attract true love, and master your sexual energy, you need to go inward and spend time with yourself. If you find yourself confused, empty, and exhausted from all the Tinder dates and the club hookups, consider it's time to finally commit to finding the love of your life. But the ticket there is you have to be clear in yourself first. An effective way to do that is to commit to yourself that you're willing to do the work. And I mean the deep work. No more interacting with women just to get laid. I was at a place where I was willing to commit my whole life to celibacy if that was what it would look like to attract real love. So make a commitment to yourself. Stay true to what you want. I would encourage you to drop the time frames of when it will happen, but rather focus on doing the work and let the universe deliver. You need to realize that in order to attract the type of women you want, in order to grow to higher heights, you have to make the changes inside yourself first. By staying in this repetitive cycle of being hijacked by your sexual energy and not making an effort to change, you're never going to have this fulfilling relationship that you truly want and that your heart is calling for. So ask yourself, who is it I need to become? What aspects of yourself do you need to change? You can't expect to attract the perfect woman if you're not a vibrational match to the woman that you desire. Something else stops us from attracting deep connection, and that's what I like to call the hot or not scale. This hot or not scale is extremely dangerous. The hotter she is, the bigger our egos grow, and the more we ignore her faults. I see this time and time again with high-performing men. They have the business, they have financial stability, they're excelling in almost all areas of their life, but they succumb to the dream of being with a hot woman and allow chaos into their lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't be attracted to your woman. In fact, it's important that you're attracted to her so that there's a balance between the masculine and feminine energy and so that they can work in harmony. But what I see more often than not is men falling for a certain type of woman that gives him status rather than being in love. Yes, she looks great on your arm, but she's not amplifying your life and not amplifying you into your greatness. Maybe she's demanding, attention-seeking, and draining of your vital energy. Her behavior is not a match to the life you want to live. If this were anyone else, you would not put up with it, and you know that. But because she is now a status symbol, she gets a free pass to be the boss, manipulate, and take from you whenever she wants, placing you in this submissive role. For most men, they turn a blind eye to this behavior so that they can get validation from their social circle. I'm sitting with Dan in his California apartment. I've not seen him in 6 months, and he looks a bit rough. "What's been going on, man?" I ask him. He says business has been a bit challenging and that him and Megan, his girlfriend of 4 months, have been going through a bit of a rough patch. Today is the first time I get to meet Megan. She walks into the apartment and I'm instantly aware of how hot she is. Before we properly get introduced, Dan leaps out of the couch to greet her. And he starts helping her with all her shopping bags and starts pandering to her every need and giving off this weird energy. But nothing he does seems to satisfy her. I'm in complete awe of what I'm witnessing. Where did Dan go, I think? He's a high-performing entrepreneur who calls the shots. Suddenly, he's adjusting himself to her every request. Dan doesn't accept this behavior from his employees, his friends, or even his family. But he's so invested in her and attached the ideology of being with a hot woman that he allows her to treat him with disrespect and poor behavior. What's running in the background that most men don't know is because of his fear of losing status, he turns into a beta male, which subconsciously repulses her and is the reason why she treats him the way she does. If this sounds familiar to you, then it's time to start creating standards for yourself. Just like you create standards for the type of business deals you make, you need to decide what you want from a relationship and create standards beyond her look. Consider what attributes a woman should have in order to be compatible with you. For example, what's her personality like? Her interests? How does she think? What is her ethics or morals? What is her relationships like with her family and her friends? Knowing this kind of information can help you make an informed decision on whether she is worth your time and energy. Because otherwise, she becomes a massive drain on your energy, time, and finances. You all know this type of relationship dynamic I'm talking about. Maybe you've experienced it in your own relationship where looks is the highest priority. You'd rather work late than spend time with her. You put your phone on silent and stuff it in your pants so that you don't hear from her. Maybe you're ready to change the pattern. You want to stop attracting the chaos and start attracting the calm. You want to experience a fulfilling, deep, meaningful relationship that makes your life more enjoyable, more successful, and more worthwhile. Someone who celebrates your wins and who is there to support you in your lows. In order to attract this kind of relationship, you have to overcome the deep programming and make a conscious effort. You need to go beyond her body and understand that she offers so much more value than just her body. Warren Buffett, arguably one of the most successful businessmen in the world, said this: "The single most important decision a man can make in his entire life is who he chooses to spend it with." Think about it. You wouldn't sign a multi-million-dollar check and go into business with someone without running a background check and making sure that you've done your due diligence. When it comes to relationships, men don't seem to take their personal relationship decisions as seriously. But some of the most successful men in the world say the single-handedly most important decision a man can make is who he chooses to spend his life with. Getting into a relationship with Molly was a big decision for me. It was the first commitment that I made to someone in 9 years of being single, and it came with a lot of fear and a lot of resistance. I was going against every program and every pattern that I had learned, and my trust in myself was very low. Before I made the decision, I needed some guidance. But without a father figure to turn to and no longer listening to media's lies, I looked to successful men who I respected and admired. I find myself in a small bookshop in the Philippines reading Think and Grow Rich when I come across a whole chapter on sexual transmutation. It's probably about the 5th time that I've read this book, but it's the first time I really have seen this chapter. In the bookstore, I had a moment of clarity. I start to see how powerful it could be to enter a relationship with Molly. This thought was later confirmed for me when I was in my hotel reading the book, Wishes Don't Bring Riches. In the book, it describes how after studying 500 of the most successful men, they said that the single most important decision for their continued success was who they chose to be with in a relationship. This was the guidance I needed to make my commitment. Consider some of the biggest decisions you've made in your life. Whether it's what you're going to study, where you're going to live, what job you want to do, what car you want to buy, or what business deal do you want to make. Does any of that come close to deciding who you're going to spend your life with? Take it from some of the most successful men in the world. The right women will help you grow and build your kingdom, and the wrong one will destroy it. That's why this is the single biggest decision a man can make. So the next time you connect with a woman, don't just see her for a means to your pleasure. See her as someone who can add to your success. When I look around at men I admire, it's not the ones that are still being ran by their sexual energy, still going to nightclubs at age 38 and sharing their sex stories. The ones I admire are the men who are grounded in their masculinity and are great leaders. I was sitting in my living room one Thursday afternoon when I got a phone call from Graham, a potential business partner. He just offered me an opportunity that I felt like I couldn't refuse. But instead of accepting at that moment, I suddenly remembered reading Wishes Don't Bring Riches by Napoleon Hill. He describes how Henry Ford spoke to his wife about every big business decision he made. The idea was that they would enter into a mastermind together, and his wife would be able to provide a lens and a perspective that he possibly couldn't see. Being his wife, she had his best interest at heart and would guide him to making decisions that were congruent with who he said he was. She was fundamental in his success, although he wouldn't openly speak about it. I decided to try it out. Instead of making a decision right then and there, I paused. I thanked him for the opportunity and told him that I would get back to him with my decision by the end of the day. After speaking with Molly, she illuminated parts of the opportunity that I hadn't considered. Her questioning allowed me to see the bigger picture and disconnected me from the emotion of the offer. She shone a light on the unconscious pattern that I was recreating for myself. And suddenly it seemed so clear with her guidance that this opportunity was not right for me at all. It was a trap. I went back to Graham and declined the offer. The energy I would have spent in this new partnership with Graham instead went into my business and into my own personal growth. Taking that time to mastermind with Molly was incredibly valuable, and it is something I still do as an automatic today. I used to be totally okay with lying and cheating and scheming my way through life, but over time, that has changed. Molly acts as my moral compass. I'm sure you've all heard the saying, behind every great man is a great woman. But what I want to share today is a different standpoint. I believe that beside every great man is a great woman. Since meeting Molly, I've realized that her love and support, I can go 3 times further in life than I could if I were single. Molly is my partner, my mirror, my teammate, and my co-creator. She's one of the biggest decisions I've ever made, and I'm experiencing huge benefits from it. When you do an audit of your life, are you like me when I was a codependent and completely lost? Or when I was desperately trying to gain status by sleeping with a bunch of women? Or doing the deep inner work to attract your dream relationship? No matter where you find yourself on this scale, I'm here to support you in being the ultimate version of yourself. Choosing who you spend your life with is the secret that most men don't talk about.